What you see on the background of this video is a crime scene. Probably it's just an act, so it's a stage. But okay, it represents a crime scene. You see blood spatters, probably that's just ketchup, probably, but let's say it's blood spatters. And he put a marker over there, in this case 13, interesting number. And the goal of a marker is to identify a piece of evidence. So if someone was stabbed and there are blood spatters receive a marker. So they can reconstruct the crime to figure out what happened. That's how forensics do it when they are investigating crime. It has been common today that people watch crime series, like crime scene investigations, CSI, NCIS, and all of that. And people have this sensational view that when crime happens, police comes, forensic detectives come, and bang, they solve the crime. In reality, it doesn't go that fast, at least not always. It may take sometimes months or even years to solve a crime. And I already explained before that often it takes so long to solve a crime because people don't want to talk. Now, in that line, I'm continuing in this message. I want to talk about something that I will call cultural hovering. Okay, let me give a quick illustration. You have a sibling. Let's say let's say you have two older sisters. Okay? You have three sisters. You have the two eldest ones and you have the youngest one. The youngest one was born, let's say, 5 years after the others, because the other two are a twin. Let's say that those twins didn't want anything to do with the younger sister because they wanted to keep all the space to themselves. So they began to treat the younger sister badly. But the parents tolerated it because the parents didn't dare to address their two eldest daughters. That younger sister grew up with psychological issues, though, to this. Let's say now she is a mother now, she's married, and she has two sons who are doing well in college. So it's a long period now. And suddenly one day, one of the sons come home and he talks about an aunt that approached him. And then his father asks him, which aunt is it? And the son says, well, it's one of the twins of mom. I mean, one of the elder sisters of mom. And then the father told the son, stay away from those people. And then the son asked the father, what's going on? And the father explains to him, son, listen, where were those people while you were growing up? Where were they? Why suddenly, out of the blue, do they want to come into your mother's life? And why don't you just call your mother or approach her online? Today we have social media. Why do they sneak into your mother's life through her children, in this case you? And then the father explains to the son, listen, let's say the son's name is Rick. Listen, Rick, those two women didn't want anything to do with your mom when she was a little kid. They treated her in a horrible manner. And as narcissists, they never took responsibility for what they did, nor for the psychological damage they caused. Your mother, when she left home, she even swore to herself that she never wanted anything to do with her parents who tolerated the domestic violence. That's why you seldom went to your paternal grandparents while they were still alive. And I even told your mother that we're not going to visit those people. So you mean to tell me that after 20 years since your mom left her parents' house, her parents' home, which is your grandparents, it's only now that those two elder siblings know that your mother exists? Are you kidding me? I don't trust those people. Next time she approaches you, tell me and I'll face them myself. And guess what? When that aunt tried to amend it on contacted that son again. The father came, and boy, after that, none of the siblings even dared to contact the family again. Because the father, let's say the husband of this younger sibling, made plain that next time they will call the police on them for harassment. Now, okay, that was a parable. In this parable, you had one of the elder sisters hoovering the younger sister, whom they treated as a target. Or said it better, the perpetrator didn't want to take responsibility nor endure the consequences of her actions, so she just wanted to be bailed out from the consequences by quote-unquote making up to her younger sister. It wasn't really making up. She just wanted her younger sister to forget about everything so that she could be relieved from facing herself. She didn't want to take responsibility nor examine her own way. She just wanted people to comply with her relief seeking. So she was hoovering the younger sister. Now that you know what hoovering is, probably already knew it, but I need to explain it for the new listeners. I want to talk about cultural hoovering. Cultural hoovering is when a group wants to cover up something that's really not acceptable at all, and they cover this up by either putting someone else in a very negative daylight, or by assuming bad motive from someone else, or by being overtly involved with one another. Now, it's normal and natural for a group to be involved with one another. Okay? But if the people in a group, or if the people in a community are too involved with one another, then that's a red flag. Okay, let me give a parable to explain what I'm saying here. Let's say now that you had a group of women that were involved in things as black magic, and the people in the community knew those women were weird, doing that crazy stuff. And when the community was upset, they went to those women to assist them in putting spells on other people. So the community was complicit in the witchcraft. So they put a spell on a young man, and the young man suddenly couldn't function anymore. And because the young man couldn't function anymore, people use it as an excuse for treating him badly. One day, that young man lost it. He picked up a gun and he shot many folks. Let's say that around 20 people died. A mass shooting. Now what happened here? When that guy went to court, the guy was so mentally gone that the judge realized that this guy was not sane when he committed the crime. So they knew this man needs serious help. So instead of sending him to jail, they sent him to some mental institution. But at the same time, the judge wanted to know how and why he snapped. But the investigators couldn't figure out why he snapped. They only knew that suddenly there was a dysfunction, but they couldn't explain the dysfunction. Now, the parents or the relatives of the victims also wanted to know answers. But the answers couldn't be given because it was a paranormal thing. It was witchcraft. So the people that enabled the witchcraft, as well as their relatives who wanted to keep peace in the community, they overtly became active. Overtly is not the right word. They became too active in solving crime, in assisting the police. And by doing this, other people in that society considered those folks that were so active in solving crime, they were cooperated so well with the police, they considered them as model citizens. People would want to do the right thing. They consider them good people. A lot of them even got involved in charity at the local church. So they did all those good things here and there. But now, 10 years passed by. People forgot about the mass shooting. And then one girl from that community meets some friends from Italy. And one of the friends from Italy come to visit her. And when she is in the community, this Italian exchange student sees one of those quote-unquote model citizens, and she got a very bad feeling immediately. And the Italian girl, let's call her Francesca. Francesca asked her American friend, Susie, you talked about some people in this town that are quite honest, good people, hardworking and all of that. And Susie said, yeah, I told you about them. And then Francesca tells her, Susie, I don't trust these people. There's something quite off with them. Now, Susie grew up in that community. She was 9 years old when the massacre happened. And when she was 12 years old, people tried to cover it up. People didn't talk about it anymore. So she doesn't have a memory of the massacre at all. But just because she doesn't know it doesn't mean that the consequences aren't there. So Susie grew up in a community, and because she grew up over there, she became acclimatized to how things were going. So she didn't notice that something was off. So Susie asked Francesca what she meant, and Francesca explained it as follows. Susie, from where I am in Italy, in the south of Italy, we know that mafiosi and criminals tends to overreact, or when they have something to hide. So criminal families would often involve themselves in a lot of community work or community service or in a lot of good things for the community, so that nobody would notice that they're involved in human trafficking or in prostitution rings or pedophile rings. They are hoovering the community in such a way so the community wouldn't call them out on their crimes. And the same pattern I see with these quote-unquote model citizens of this town. I don't know what they're hiding, but they have something to hide. And I have the feeling that if you would come too close to finding out their secret, they will get rid of you. So when Susie heard this, she took it seriously. And she began to ask her parents some questions about those model citizens. When Susie's uncle heard that she was asking questions, the uncle knew that it would escalate if this Susie found out the truth. So the uncle tries to distract her with fake stories that never happened, so that she will never see the bigger picture. Now, cultural hoovering is a common thing. There are societies that exist out of cultural hoovering. The only thing that keeps a society together is the collective crime, whatever crime is, that the people don't want to face. And that collective crime can be pedophilia, it can be, massacres, or racism, whatever it is. When it comes to cultural hoovering, don't fall for it. See the pattern so you aren't trapped. Okay? Agree with Christ and be at peace.